so much of this same thing going on with our young people today. Sandy, how do we reach them? I mean, you know, you were very blessed to be able to come out of this situation and to make it. But I see our young people every day struggling, you know, looking up to the drug dealer and the people driving the big cars. And, you know, how do we reach our young people?
I think that if you can make the goals universal in regards to the things that we talk about, the man in China has to take care of himself the same way that the man in New York does. You have to take care of your family, provide and protect, and you have certain goals and goals that you have for yourself. And I think once you start instilling in kids goal setting, set 2-year goals, 4-year goals, 3-year goals, 6-month goals, and as you start having success in these goals, it builds confidence. And the more confidence that you have in yourself, the more apt you are to set more goals. And I just start continuing to set goals with my kids, and that's what I do at my school right now, Compton. Every day we say, A is for attitude, B is for belief, C is for confidence, and D is for dedication, discipline, and determination, all are necessary for success. And I continue to instill it. When a kid comes to my office, I talk to him about those pillars that we talk about called the ABCs of education, and we try to show them, we expose them. See, Bill Limley exposed me to so much. I've been exposed, the only people I've been exposed to, and I hate to say this, Betty, was pimps, pushers, hustlers, and hoes.
Oh,
and
I can relate
we're on the
to
television
that. That's okay, but you know, this is real, and I think we have to bring it home to where it is. We have to reach our young people. We have to reach the parents, so they can understand it.
And because of that, that's what I gravitated to be. But when I got to a college where I met Bill Limley, and he started exposing me to places like, I went to New Mexico with the Boy Scouts. I went to Denver, Colorado because I was in the Boy Scouts. I thought it was a square move. I was like, man, only squares, you know, get involved with stuff like that. But it exposed me to other people who were doing positive things, and I began to see, oh, that's a black doctor, or that's a black lawyer. Or, you know, they had these several people in Baltimore who articulate and professional, and, you know, they're doing this on the up and up. And when I saw that, it showed me that there was an opportunity for me to do some things like that too. So I think if we continue to expose and expect it. You know, I had a grandmother that like I say, I lost my cool on at the Golden Dove Awards about it. But she was so strong to the point that I was just like, I don't want to do anything that would embarrass or shame, let her down or disappoint her, because she's already seen enough of that. And by having that, and I had 1,000 people pray for me. I probably got about 1,000 people praying for me right now.
We need that.
It helped. And and constantly instilling in me, hey man, you got to go to church, even on the Sundays that you don't want to. You know, she made sure that I attended church and I read my Bible. And although sometimes that stuff fell to the wayside in regards to just life experiences, I had that foundation. So that helped a lot. But if we can get the kids to set goals and achievable goals and believe in themselves, I got a positive sense of self when I went to college, and I found the other side of the story. I found out that a lot of stuff that I thought was true was untrue. And when I learned that Lewis Latimer invented the carbon filament to make that light bulb work the way that it does today, and that Alexander Miles invented the elevator, I thought the only thing black people had ever done was, you know, the peanut with George Washington Carver and Harriet Tubman and slavery and segregation. I didn't know.
There's so much more.
The Three Musketeers was written by a black author by the name of Alexander Dumas. I didn't ever do that.
I know.
You know, and when I became exposed, it showed me that there are other things that we can do.
Now this is a good place for us to take a break, but you really don't want to touch that remote because we have so much more to share with you. We'll be right back.
Richie， 我要你啊！顧住嗰個人，我唔信得過佢啊。
Yo, Ty, what up?
Richie, what up, player?
爺爺，係你叫我唔好判人㗎，你記唔記得啊？記唔記得
How you doing, son?
All right, man.
I'm chilling, of course. You're gonna be there, right? You gotta play ball.
Imagine the power of one voice. Click freedomcenter.org to find yours.
Hi, welcome back to the second half of On Track with Betty Mack. I tell you, I'm listening and learning from this young man, Sandy Womack, the principal at Paralee Compton. Watkins Compton School. He's a dynamo. I admire him. He's had his struggles and his challenges, but he didn't let that stop him. And young people, that's what you have to know. I want you to listen to the things that he's saying. And if you didn't listen to the first half of the show, catch it on another day, because this is very important. I had him on here particularly for this month because this is the month what they call Black History Month. And he's given us some things that he didn't even know about that blacks were involved in. And so it's really important. Listen to this young man. He is a role model. We need role models. We need more role models for our young people, particularly our African American young men. We need role models. So if some of you are out there and you have some time to give, and even if you don't have time, come up with a little bit of time to mentor and help our young people to get on the straight and narrow and stay on that path, because we don't have the kind of grandmothers that we used to have. Grandmothers are much, much younger now and having their own challenges. But when Sandy talked about his grandmother, and I know I had some things, and of course my mother has been my role model, but I'm going to go back to Sandy and so we can continue this dialogue. Listen to him. Sandy, you know, you were talking about some of the things that blacks invented and stuff that we really didn't know until they started incorporating some black history into some of the books, because we didn't have any knowledge of our history.
Well, I think Dr. Nathan Hare did an exceptional job. He started the first Black Studies College, or Black Studies program at San Francisco State University in 1967. Because up to that time, you know, Carter G. Woodson and John Henry Clark were the precursors in regards to African American studies.
Right.
And the bad part about it is we have a curriculum that for the most part is Eurocentric, and they start with the Greeks as the first as opposed to Egyptian, which is where everything came from.
That's right.
And once I learned that, it helped a lot, because African Americans have contributed to almost anything that we're talking about. When we had that blackout last summer, I said, this is truly a blackout. I said, because the refrigerator, which was invented by J.A. Standard, an African American, didn't work. The air conditioner, J.A. Standard, also invented by an African American, didn't work. The traffic light, invented by Garrett Morgan, African American, didn't work. We had all the traffic jams.
That's right.
I said, you know, the traffic lights in regards to what goes on carbon filament in your houses, they didn't work. That's Lewis Latimer. And those are all African American inventions. I said, so it truly was a blackout. But, you know, the only way that you can learn is to get both sides of the story. And in many cases, when you hear one side of the story, it's hard to form any type of factual opinions.
That's right.
And I think it's very important that not just during February, because I asked 3 questions. What is the shortest month of the year? When is Black History Month? And how did that happen?
Right.
And it stimulates discussion. Now, Carter G. Woodson started Negro History Week in February, Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln birthdays, which eventually turned into Negro History Month. But many people don't know, and they automatically assume, well, we black people, we're going to get the short end of the stick all the time. But when you're informed and you read and you know that, hey, Carter G. Woodson had this founded Negro History Week for a reason, because he was a big proponent of Frederick Douglass and his struggles as an abolitionist. And so when he said, once you control a man's mind, you no longer have to worry about his actions, I truly believe that. And I think that's why we see so many students who don't gravitate to the importance of higher education. You know, one of the questions that came up during the 60s is, was integration the best thing for the African American? And I think what happened was integration was never a question of white people embracing black ideas and black education. It's always been a question of black people going to places that white people were, in no disrespect intended to race, but that's just the way integration worked in this country. And there's been integration throughout the world, but here in the United States, it was black people coming to white schools and white universities and white theaters as if nothing in the black community was to be glorified or glamorized, or there was nothing there that was exceptional. And when you sit down and read about Gwendolyn Brooks and the Pulitzer Prize that she won in literature many years ago, you know, hey, or Langston Hughes, and just all the positive things that we've done, it's amazing that we don't have these points of inclusion in all areas of the curriculum.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times our kids, the further they are away from the larger society, the less influence it has on them. So we can have rules and values instilled in schools, but if those aren't the same things you're getting at home because you are so far away from the micro society, then those values have very little influence on you. And I think that's a lot of times what we see going on with our kids today.